Hi everybody, this is Rose of Sharon and I'm back again with another book review. I just recently read Louie Anderson's Hey Mom, Stories from My Mother, but you can read them too. And of course, that's a picture of him portraying Christine Baskets on Baskets. There are 3 seasons so far. I'm not sure if they greenlit a 4th or not. I know that Zach Galifianakis is the main character, and I do want to see it because I've always loved Louie and his work, and Zach is another comedian that I've gravitated toward. It's because I think that he has a really good line of shtick himself, and I don't know what it is. I've always enjoyed comedians like him, like Chris Farley and Tom Arnold and John Candy. I mean, there's just so many. Of course, a lot of them are overweight, but needless to say, for some odd reason, we find that funny and relatable. And I think this was hinted upon in the review I did on The Simpsons, even though I didn't cover it because there was a lot of subject matter in that book in and of itself that was really quite fascinating, and the human psyche, what we find comfortable, what we find relatable, what we tend to find taboo and don't really rant about or vent when in a intimate setting. We just want to keep it to ourselves. So we're at home, it's a little bit different. When we're out in the public, it's, oh my goodness, we have to be PC. Well, I'm not a PC person. If you know me well, I'm very, very tactful about what comes out of my mouth, but if I'm in the privacy of my own home, then I'm not PC. I call a spade, but nonetheless, this book talks about Aura Anderson, which was Louie's mom. He talks about Tommy, his brother, and his father, and of course he wrote a book called Hey Dad, but Hey Mom is also considering his father. And if you're like me and you grew up with Life with Louie, which was actually one of my favorite cartoons growing up, it was really exceptionally well done, and it got an award for endearing and commendable animation, and something that would make it uplifting to the human experience. And I always thought that was kind of ironic. You thought, wait a minute, we're talking about my family and my dad, right? And the fact that I was always the fat kid in the family, and I came from a large group of people, and I just kind of slid into existence. I thought, that sounds a lot like my dad, because when my dad came into the world, he was a surprise, or as he likes to say, an accident. I said, Dad, no, you were a happy accident. You were loved. You were brought into the world, and you were enamored. Your mother, she adored you. There is no doubt of that. I mean, even now, and you're gone, but I'm sure you know that now, being in heaven. But anyways, it's a very short book, but it has exceptional pictures, and he talks about his work on baskets, which I've always been really interested in seeing because I don't really know what it's about. But he talks about Midwesterners in the book, and what he says is actually quite true. Even some of it's not quite so flattering, but Midwesterners, a lot of us, we're kind almost to a fault, and a lot of people will use that against us, and it can be quite detrimental. But beyond that, despite our foibles, I think that we're some of the kindest people on the planet. Of course, you can find some pretty rotten Midwesterners as well, just like with anywhere else on the planet Earth. It doesn't matter. You've got your good and your bad. But he talks about how the death of his mother took a lot out of him. So did his dad, even though he and his dad really didn't see eye to eye quite a bit. And later on, he found himself becoming more spiritual, his father would always say, "Oh God," or "Help me God," and he wasn't really a follower, or they didn't have a Bible in their house, and he always thought that was kind of ironic. But later on, after his mom died, he was sent Jesus Calling, and it helped him. And I always thought, well, isn't that a shift in perspective? And I think that faith often does that to us. It helps us get through the hard times. And for me, if you know me well and you watch my channel, you realize this, and I don't try to wave my Christian flag that much, but one thing that's gotten me through all the hardships is my faith and my hope, and knowing that even when things get really, really bad, the sun is always behind the cloud. I even told this to somebody that I'm helping desperately to get a job because she's having a really difficult time. But I said, look, and it was a dark day too. It was rainy just like it was today, even though the rain's cleared up. But I said, look, honey, it's a gray and dreary day, but the sun is behind the clouds, and the sun is always behind the clouds. We need the sun in order to survive. The light gives us our life. And I said, I know it's allegory and I know it's metaphor, but at least please try to get a semblance of what I'm saying here. And she understood what I was getting at. And it motivated her, and I thought, oh, thank God. They were words that actually came from my dad, because my dad always said it may be a little bit ominous outside, but you can't see the sun, but it's always there. And it's the same with God. You can feel the wind wherever it blows. You can't see it, but you know that there's this force, there's a creator that's always watching you and upholding you, even when everything else seems to have failed. And some people will let you down, some people will disappoint you, but God never does. And that's what he talks about. And of course he talks about all of his fans, and he talks about the fact that Life with Louie actually had a lot of really big fans for the 3 seasons that it ran, even in syndication. In Poland, that was where it really blew up. But it's goes without saying, because he said he got a lot of his heritage is from that part of the country. I thought, well, yeah, sure. I mean, Midwesterners were mostly Scandinavian and Polish, and were European mutts, basically. But beyond that, I really don't have that much else to say about Hey Mom, other than it was a really exceptional book, and I'm glad to have read it, and it really gives me a lot of inspiration, because despite all of the terrible things that happened in his life, Louie pulled through it, and he even got himself recognition for his portrayal of Christine Baskets. And now I have to see the show, because I'm not really familiarized with the character, so I'm very curious. So I'm hoping I can someday, because it's something that I think I'm absolutely going to love when I do, because he just looks a lot like, you know, your typical Midwestern mother. But that's all I have to say. Until next time, live long and prosper. Ciao tutti.